Parents are awesome. They just are. You ever heard any of these? If you're going to act like a child, I'm going to treat you like one. Because I said so. Say you're sorry. How many times do I have to tell you? Don't make me turn this car around. I brought you into this world, and I'll just as soon take you out. Stop crying, or I'm going to give you something to cry about. How about this one? This one's awesome. What do you say? Oh, yeah. Thank you. It's nice to give kids reminders. But when you have to be reminded, is it really gratitude? What is gratitude anyway? Well, gratitude is a feeling that, I think at least, it's a feeling that spontaneously emerges from inside. It's a response to goodness that we perceive or experience. And it's also a choice. It's an attitude of appreciation for what we receive or where we find ourselves. In some of my preparation for what I was going to say here, I read in a commentary, this is pretty famous, Matthew Henry, famous preacher and theologian from the 16th century. He wrote about how after he was robbed, he said this: "Let me be thankful, first, because I was never robbed before. Second, because although they took my bag, they didn't take my life. Third, because although they took everything that I had, it wasn't much. And fourth, because it was I who was robbed, not I who robbed." What a great perspective. What are we typically thankful for? All you got to do is listen to kids' prayers. Because kids' prayers turn into, I think, adult prayers. They aren't a whole lot different. We are thankful for our health, for our spouse, for our family, for our jobs, for the stuff that our jobs allow us to buy. We're thankful for our good fortune. But there is so much more to be thankful for. Following Jesus 101, lesson number 1. You don't get to choose the things you're grateful for, even though gratitude is a choice. Paul writes in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, "Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks for everything, in every circumstance. And this is not And this isn't a suggestion. It's not just a good idea. It's a statement that demands our obedience to constantly give thanks in every circumstance. So what happens when our health fails? We're to still be grateful. What happens when our marriages are filled with hidden disappointments? Be grateful in that circumstance. When our family rejects us or causes problems, we're to still be grateful. What happens when we are surrounded by difficult coworkers, demanding employers, an unrelenting work schedule, or worse? What happens when we are unexpectedly laid off? Paul says that gratitude is to still be flowing out from us. What happens when there's not enough money to pay the bills? Or the stuff that we have is worn out and broken? Or when life is simply difficult and things are starting to go from bad to worse? Gratitude. We can't ignore it. It says it right there in the Word. There is no magic formula. We try. We try to teach it. What do you tell your kids when they are ungrateful? Well, look what you have compared to those kids in Africa. I don't know why we always pull out Africa. Here's one thing I do know. That doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. Kids with a lot of stuff, a lot of good, are sometimes the most ungrateful. It used to crack me up. We would take kids on mission trips. One of the big hopes that parents often even verbalize to me is, yeah, you need to take my kid. You need to take my kid to Mexico. Show them the way those kids down there, show them what their life is like down there. Maybe they'll come back and appreciate what they have. Well, that doesn't work. As people who have way more than we need, isn't it amazing? We place a high value on appreciating what we have, but don't mistake that for gratitude to God. Because somewhere in the back of our minds, it's like we know that we earned it, or at least somebody earned it. We think we deserve it. It belongs to us. I worked hard for it. I bought it. When all of that is present in our thinking, who are we really thanking anyway? That's why this self-righteous kind of gratitude is so crazy. We actually become like the very thing that Jesus condemned. When he told this story, Luke chapter 18, verses 10 and 11. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee, the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, God, I thank you that I am not like other people, robbers and evildoers and adulterers, or even Or even like this tax collector over here. Man, that kind of thinking God, there's something missing. Real gratitude is something altogether different. It's a mark of maturity. Think about how completely bizarre a lifestyle of uncompromising gratitude would look. Gratitude that sits outside of circumstances, totally unrelated to circumstances. I'll tell you this, gratitude is the barometer of faith. If I trust God, if that's a mark of my life, then I can be thankful. Simply if I trust God. If I trust myself, if I trust my talent, my ingenuity, my education, my hard work, there is no need, there is no room for thankfulness. Frankly, there is really no need for God at all. Thankfulness is something that pours out of humility. Thankfulness understands dependence. Thankfulness is it's an expression of the heart that comprehends grace, the grace of God. You see, if we truly believe that it is God who provides everything, food, job, shelter, money, health, and we are honestly grateful, why would we ever complain about the bad or the unfair or the painful that is always right around the corner? Isn't it the same God that is in and through both the good and the bad? Isn't it the God who says, I promise to never, ever leave you? Deep, deep thanksgiving. The giving of thanks in all circumstances. It pours simply from our dependence on God. That unrelenting awareness that God is the source of everything that really matters. He is the source of fruit in our life, the fruit of love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness that is always around us. God is the glue that holds everything together. God is the substance and meaning of life. It is in His plan and His design that I find my purpose. So you remember the story? You know, the one that Jesus told? Let me read it again. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee, the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, God, I thank you that I am not like other people, robbers and evildoers and adulterers, or even like this tax collector. Now check out how this story ends. But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but he beat his breast and said, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And Jesus said, I tell you that This man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Gratitude is what says, I trust God and I take him at his word. No matter what, good or bad. It's crazy. To trust in yourself leads to pride. And where there is pride, there is no thankfulness. How about this week? How about right now? We decide which one of these two men we're going to be like. Jesus died and rose again to make that an easy choice. Till next time, see ya.